Hello everyone, this is Kim and this is a Garden episode 42. 42 is a very special episode for me because 42 is life, the universe, and everything. I am a big nerd. I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and so 42 really is going to be about, life, the universe, and everything as it pertains to This is a Garden. So what you're going to see is an episode that is shot over multiple days, multiple shoots, with information about different things, from showing you actually what I'm using in my soil, talking about my successes and my failures, talking about my lights, my closet, my cat, and living in Indiana, and everything that kind of wraps up into what the experience of me being a amateur gardener is all about. And when it comes to soil, you're going to see a few things that have to do with, how I've had success and failures with the soil mix and the experiments that I'm doing with that. You're going to hear a little bit about the lights, how close I've been having them to the plants, the using of the shelves that I've got as far as keeping them close to the lights. You're going to hear about watering and fertilizing with organic fertilizer, and emphasis on that really quick. We're going to talk about feeding the soil so that the soil in turn can feed the plants. Okay, so that's what this is going to be about, and I really hope you enjoy what you see. And let's get going into This is a Garden, episode 42, Life, the Universe, and Everything. This segment is about soil, and I know that you've heard me talk about soil over and over and over again. The reason I want to talk about soil today is because there's a little bit more detail I can go into, and I can share some of my failures and some of my successes with you, as well as future plans for my soil. What do I put in my soil? I start out with four things, and then I vary the mixture of those four things. Starting with the foundation, and before I get going, I want to tell you I get no paid endorsements for any products that I have. Nothing that I show you is a brand that I am affiliated with or endorse in any way, shape, or form. It simply is what I was able to get when I was able to get it. What this is, and you have all heard me talk about this before, but what this is cocoa peat, also known as coir. It is a nutritionless, neutral growing medium. What it is when you see a coconut in real life, coconuts are like this big. When you see them in the store, they're about this big. And coconuts that are this big have this really big hairy husk on it that has to be peeled off, and that husk is what this is made of. They get washed, they get drained, they get washed, they get drained, and hopefully, if the company is ethical, they will dry it in an area that does not have outdoor access, something that's a controlled environment. You run less risk of having insect larvae in this compressed block. In any case, when they dry it, they also compress it into these big old blocks. And what I need to do in order to use this is break it apart and throw it in something with a lot of hot water. There is recommendation by some people that you use boiling water when rehydrating coir, and the reason for that is because boiling water will kill any insect larvae. I don't know. Larvae, eggs, if they survive this, I would think that they would survive boiling water, but in all honesty, I really don't know for sure. Your mileage may vary. For me, I just use, hot water out of the tap. I go and fill up a bucket over in the shower, and I bring it to wherever I'm doing this, and I rehydrate the stuff, and it expands to I don't know, it expands really, really big, several times its size. So this is going to last me a long time, unless I make a giant batch of soil, which I don't know if I should do or not. Give me your ideas. Do you think I should make a giant batch of soil and then just slowly start going through it? Or do you think I should break it up into small batches so that I can only use it as I need it? Coir, cocoa peat, cocoa whatever, says it's pH neutral, low EC, increases nutrient retention, excellent water holding capacity, provides essential aeration, expands up to 5 times, there we go, 5 times its package size, environmentally friendly, and great for outdoor gardening as well. So this stuff is the base for my soil. Because it's nutritionless, it has to have stuff added to it in order to make it a effective soil. So the good thing about this, though, is that it does retain water, but it remains light and fluffy. So you could get really wet and squeeze it. It would look dry in your hand, but you squeeze it, and this water comes out, and it remains fluffy. Now the challenge, the challenge is the next thing. In order to make rich soil, you need to put nutrients into your soil, right? Right. So what do a lot of us do? We use compost, or in English we use compost. And the idea there is that you're putting nutrients into the soil with the substrate, gives you this nice light and fluffy and nutrition-filled soil. Well, the first thing I use, because I actually use two things for this, and again, this brand came from my local farm store, so bear with me. This was a 40-pound bag of composted cow manure. I have another one in the closet. They're like $1.79 for 40 pounds. Can't really go wrong with that, right? I use this in the, God, that's heavy, in the cocoa peat to start off the nutrition base for my soil. And it's great. That is number one. Number two, and I know I've mentioned this too many times, so I'm going to be very brief with it, are worm castings. And the worm castings, since they're very low in the NPK, they are not super rich for feeding the soil in the sense of nutrients that your plants can use right away, but they do have a lot of beneficial bacteria in them, and this I do know. And when I use my worm castings, I actually sometimes, if I'm making a pot of soil for a larger plant, I'll actually take a couple of the worms and put them in there, and they keep making worm castings to go on. So there's a lot of benefit to using worm castings, and since I've spent a lot of time on that, I won't spend any more time on that now. So now we've got these two things in worm castings in the soil. It's starting to get a little thick because this stuff, it clumps. The composted manure clumps. And even with a healthy balancing of the cocoa peat to go with it, you're still going to end up with some clumps. And so for a little bit extra help in drainage, I add one more thing. Coarse vermiculite. This is a 12-quart bag that cost me about $6, and I bought it online, and I got a couple other things just so I could make the shipping worth it, but, you know, I mean, it's not bad. They're not too far from here where I got this. I'm not going to say where I got this, but mixing that in until the soil is balanced, fluffy, loose, drains easily, that works for me. Now, the one thing I do want to cover really quick, back when talking about this particular brand of cocoa peat, there is a group out there called OMRI, O-M-R-I, and they're an organic material, organic manufacturer. I don't remember what it stands for. Basically, they certify different products as 100% organic safe. In other words, if you want to grow completely organic, they'll have that product listed and they'll talk about its benefits and all that other kind of jazz. This is treading on kind of hallowed ground because really when it comes down to it, everything that occurs in nature is organic. What this means in regard to organic growing is that you're not using any manufactured chemicals to aid in the growth of your plants. So that's what, you know, my takeaway from organic gardening, that's what that means. I don't garden with chemical anything. You know, I use organic fertilizers that are made from fish stuff and soy and various things like that. I use water, and you know, I'll use oils and extracts if need be to combat pests if pests arise. So that's the thing on the soil, and it's a really cool thing to do the experiments with, because you get to learn really how your soil affects your plants. Because when you feed your plants, really you should be feeding the soil so the soil can make nutrition. I can talk. My tongue is broken. You can have the soil feed your plants. You know, when you have the beneficial bacteria and the fungi and all that jazz in there, it takes care of your plants. And if you keep your soil healthy, it's going to last for a long time. The trick is making your soil yourself, especially when you're inexperienced as I am. I have tried a couple of different mixes with worm castings and composted for manure and coir and the vermiculite, trying to get it right so that I actually get a very good balance. And so what I'm going to be doing in the upcoming few months, Lord willing, the creek don't rise, and I have no idea, I do mean this quite literally, I have no idea what's going to happen, because I might not be in this house very much longer due to other circumstances, but we'll see. I'm going to be doing experiments with the soil and seeing what mix will make the best for the indoor garden. And I'm going to probably test it with tomatoes, just because tomatoes are a really standard thing. And so if I test that with tomatoes, I should be able to find out what the best balance is for my soil and go from there. So, thank you for watching this segment on soil. I look forward to sharing my experiments with you, my successes, my failures, and just the fun of doing it, you know? If I had the opportunity, I would probably be doing this with kids around, but I don't right now, so I'm sharing it with you. And I hope that you'll be able to give me good feedback, and I hope that I will be able to answer any questions to the best of my ability that you would have about making your own soil indoors. There are people that are really, really good at it, and I've taken a lot of their advice. One of my mentors on YouTube, if I can call him that, he always emphasizes, this is what works well for me. It may not work for you, but it works for me. Well, that's what I'm going to try here, is finding out what works for me based on what I've learned from him and a couple of other people to see if I can really get it balanced. I don't like buying potting mix, and I don't like buying potting soil that's pre-made. So I'm going to be using this to find the best balance I possibly can. And then, of course, water and light are also factors. In any case, thanks again. And that's it for this segment on soil.